Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. My story. Rant. A bit lengthy, but hear my story and I feel it's important. My fiancée and I were together for 6 years, lived together for over 5, and were engaged for 2. We had always had a wonderful relationship. She was the one that wanted to move in with me. She started dropping hints that she wanted to get engaged. Of course I was ready and happy to also. After almost 4 years into our relationship, not too long after we were engaged, I discovered that she had some real clinical depression. She had always talked about how her career wasn't working out the way she'd hoped and that it was making her depressed. One night, I came home and discovered that she cut herself on the wrist multiple times. I cried and panicked. But I cleaned her wounds, bathed and fed her, and vowed to support her and get her better. I got her into therapy the very next day and proceeded to work on almost all my off days to make money for the therapist. I thought I was doing the right thing by being there for my fiancée. During this time, she and I never had issues with one another. She continued to harm herself from time to time and eventually got on anti-depressants as her therapist feared she was a suicide risk. I continued to support her, even doing research on ways I could be there daily for a self-harming spouse. Her depression, according to her, revolved around her want for a new and better job. At the time, we were living in Georgia. She wanted to leave Georgia as she felt that she'd stand a better chance at a career elsewhere. In June of 19, I relocated us to New York. I wrote her cover letter after cover letter, passed out her resume, and networked for her as much as I could. On October 19th, she finally found a job that made her happy. I wrote the cover letter for this job and I couldn't have been happier for her. Soon after, I swiftly noticed a change in her. She became withdrawn, occupied, and distant from me. The one time I needed her to be there for me when I was down, she was only concerned with herself. After I called her out on it, she swore up and down that she didn't mean it and that it was me and her against everything and that she'd prove it. In Jan of 2020, she began to act very odd and suspicious. We began to fight a lot. I didn't think she was cheating on me, but I knew something was off. I told her that I felt that she was changing and now realized she wanted something different in life. I told her that I felt she was outgrowing her life with me and that it was okay and that she could go. But she cried and pleaded that I was wrong. In February 2020, I told her the same. I told her that I believe she's outgrown what she thought she wanted in life with me, and that it was totally okay and that she could go. But again, she cried and pleaded to me that I was wrong, that she was here with me and that I was misinterpreting everything. In March, we once again got into a huge fight over her odd behavior. I was so anxious and depressed all the time, trying to figure out how a great relationship of 5 years was falling apart so quickly. During the fighting, we decided to take a break. I asked her if there was someone else and immediately apologized for it. She looked me in my face and asked me how I could ask her that. I remember going away to a hotel that night and I turned on myself. I was convinced that if she was crying and pleading that there's nothing going on with her, then it must be me. I apologized for it, took ownership of everything, and asked for another chance to be a better man. She then took me to a couples therapy session. After the session, she told me that she wasn't sure if she wanted it to work out with me. So, I told her that I would not be here for that and I left. I told her it was over. The next day I came home to get my things for work. She wrapped me up in her arms and legs and cried inconsolably and begged me to stay. She said that she realized that she does want it to work, and that she doesn't want a life without me. She said her depression and anxiety caused her to not think clearly. She cried and pleaded for another day until I ultimately decided to stay. I never wanted to break up and I thought we were just having a rough patch. After that moment, things seemed so much better. We began to communicate better and we seemed to return to ourselves. I was so rejoiced that this few-month rough patch, at least that how I perceived it, was over. We were back to us. On MLK Day 2021, I caught her. The previous night, she kept saying that she wanted to do something special for Valentine's Day. I told her we should go away for a weekend and she was so excited. We went to bed that night and even looked at hotels. The next day, I went to work on the holiday to make extra money for this trip. She was off and said she was going to get her nails done. She then said she was going out for drinks with her girlfriends. Later that evening, she came home and readily ate the meal that I prepared for her, the one she requested. Something wasn't sitting right. I checked her phone and saw everything. She reached out and made plans with him the previous night, the same night we were planning our special Valentine's Day trip. She spoke to him using words she'd used with me for years. She even threw me under the bus to him. When I confronted her, she continued to lie and lie. She finally admitted what she'd done and said it started in March of 2020, the time when she convinced me I was crazy. The month that she took me to couples therapy knowing what she had already done. The way she had known what she'd done when she cried and pleaded for me to come back and stay. Her explanation was that we were fighting so much and she went to him and developed feelings for him. If you look at the timeline of the fighting, January, February, and March, she was already down this road. So the sudden fighting was happening because of what she was doing, not the other way around. The fighting was happening because she was doing this, and when I called her out for acting weird, she convinced me I was crazy. When it was all done and over with, she basically blamed it on me and laid out a laundry list of all the ways I was terrible to her. Told me that I never trusted her even. She manipulated me, gaslighted me, and convinced me I was crazy and got me to stay all while she knew exactly what she was doing. My ex did the same, and after getting caught she said she had no idea why she did it. She was living a double life and told our mutual friends I was abusive and manipulative and they kicked me out of the group. The best part is she kept saying illy and acted as everything is normal while talking to me. I told her how my friends are treating me and she acted as she has no clue. After I blocked her and went no contact except when we saw each other at our med school, then the affair fog broke and she started begging me to give her another chance. I was so fed up with her BS that I used to sit in my car during breaks instead of in campus or cafeteria. Still till this day she is begging me to give her another chance. Karma is a bitch. It took my ex 10 months, your mic tail 2 years, but she will suffer the consequences. Yup. She had a total double life, made all these new friends who she made sure I never met. I even threw her a birthday party at my brother's house, and she didn't want to invite anyone, saying she wanted it to be kept just within the family. In her second life, I was the butt of the joke, the big mean fiancé who abused her. Damn, that's brutal. I mean, you nurtured her, literally invested in her to end up in this shitty place. Man, I am so sorry. Why the FK it happens to carrying PPE? Did she at least explain to you why she would insist on staying together in March 2020? She was literally close to ending this relation with you without you even knowing what she's done to you. Feels so low and sadistic towards you, like wanting to punish you. Never explained it. The only conversations we had, she skirted the entire issue but then ultimately blamed me and laid out a laundry list of how many ways I was terrible. I'm hoping she is an ex-fiancé and not a fiancé. There are rarely times to reconcile, and this one is definitely not one of them. She became the ex the same day I caught her. Painful but absolutely necessary. Checking in, maybe need some advice and reassurance. Advice. It's been 3 months since it all came to light. A while back I posted what happened in a rant called My Story. My fiancé, who I was with for 6 years, engaged to for 2 and lived with for 5, was cheating on me for like a year. Before it all started, I knew something was up, just not this. She went to all lengths to gaslight and manipulate me. I gave her chances to leave, and I even left once, but she convinced me to stay and made me think I was crazy. Used therapy, the therapist I found for her and paid for, and her own mental health issues as a smokescreen to betray and hurt me. She could have just left. About 6 weeks after, I started dating again and I've been seeing this great woman. She's smart, independent, and intelligent. but my feelings toward the situation are so shifty. Sometimes I feel really into it and clear-minded. Others I feel numb and confused. Worst of all, I can't connect with her sexually. It makes me feel really inadequate because I've never experienced this before. It's nothing she's doing. I've even been open with her about what happened to me and what I'm experiencing, and she's super receptive. I like her, like seeing her, but I feel lost and like I don't know what I'm doing. We're obviously taking our time, but I just don't know how I'm feeling or what I should be doing. I feel like I've been broken, and this new woman, even as new and early as this thing is, deserves better. Any advice? I say just keep being honest with yourself and the new woman. Of course you are not over why it happened. That's some real shit, real trauma. It's gonna have an effect. I actually started dating my now husband as a sort of rebound from my last ex, an abusive situation. And for a long time, I would go overboard with overcompensating for all the disrespect I allowed to build up in my previous, toxic relationship. It's been 11 years and I can still be that way, although it has relaxed and I feel almost nothing about the person I used to date. Just be aware there is nothing weird or abnormal about you coming down off the toxic environment and all the behaviors you subconsciously developed to cope. You are relearning normal. It's honestly great that you can self-evaluate and have this honesty with a new partner. Just don't put pressure that this new girl must be serious, but don't push pressure the other way. The only thing you need right now is honesty and a commitment to not playing head games. Everything else will just unfold. I'm sorry your last partner was shit, but that's on them. You didn't create her insides, can't be blamed for trusting someone you loved. You will get better. Thanks so much for the support. Before I met my ex, I was very strong, confident, and independent. I didn't know what she was doing at the time, but I now have learned that what she was doing was pure psychological abuse. She literally used every one of my sensibilities against me. My love for her, my trust, my own confidence, and most of all, my care and respect for her mental health issues. She used those things so she could keep me around, lie to me, and betray me. I know this was nothing I did, and it was done to me, but sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm looking at when I look in the mirror. 5 months for me. Just be open with the woman you are dating. You don't know all of her wants/needs yet. This kind of less intense dating/relationship may be all she really wants right now. If you have a nice time together, get along well, and are honest with each other, try to just enjoy your time. Stop stressing about the sex. It either happens or doesn't, and she may be perfectly okay with that too. Appreciate the advice. It's the oddest thing because I've never experienced a lack of sex drive or disconnect sexually like this before. And it sucks because after what my ex did to me, you're left feeling so inadequate in so many ways. Oh man, it's a killer. You'll be okay eventually. I've started to see other men looking at me now, and that's a small thing but positive. Take your time, enjoy each other's company, and keep the loneliness at bay. If not this woman, it might be just enough for you to move on to someone who does ring your bell down the line. It hasn't been that long, don't beat yourself up. I guess 3 months is still pretty fresh, right? I assume it's totally normal for anyone in my position to be feeling/not feeling what I've been experiencing at this point, right? Yeah, real fresh. Completely, absolutely, entirely sucks. Yeah, it's really infuriating. Over a year before I caught her, I literally gave her so many outs. I even left once and she begged me to stay and took me to couples therapy. All while she knew what she was doing, and she instead convinced me I was crazy. Heavy triggers upon returning to the place where we started our life. Needs support. A while back I posted a rant called My Story, and some updates since. 3 months ago was D-Day and I found out my fiancée, who I was with for 6 years, carried on an over year-long affair. She had every opportunity to leave peacefully but elected to gaslight and manipulate my like crazy to keep me around. Today I arrived back in Atlanta to visit my family. It's my first time back since we left 2 years ago. As soon as we relocated, trouble ensued shortly after. This is the area where we started our life together, got engaged, and laid the plans for what I thought was going to be the rest of our lives. I'm at my parents' house where there's a lot of stuff remaining to be purged as we spent a lot of time here. I saw a picture album that I didn't even know existed. It was an album filled with pictures of my family and she and I together. She made this picture album as a gift for my mom this past Christmas, all while she knew what she was doing for so long. I went for a drive around a lot of old stomping grounds and was really consumed by disbelief, nostalgia, and heartbreak. I love Atlanta. Came here and made my career, thought I found my soulmate, and made an eternal commitment of a kind of love I didn't know existed to a person I clearly didn't know. She was the one that wanted to move in together, she was the one that dropped hints about getting engaged. I was totally ready and excited for these commitments with her. It hurts, but it's totally okay that she decided that me nor our life together was no longer good enough, but why she elected to manipulate me to the levels she did to keep me around when I gave her the option to leave several times I'll never understand. I had no idea at the time she was cheating on me because God forbid you trust your fiancé. I guess I'm ranting here and I apologize, but the return back here is certainly mixed and I didn't anticipate or prepare for these kinds of emotions. As an outsider, looking in, you dodged a bullet. In my younger years I dated many a girl that fit your girlfriend's profile. Consider your bad experience a tuition fee. I didn't find mine until age 27, but it was worth the wait. Be patient and wait for that good one to come along. Atlanta was the place for my ex, too. Such a beautiful place. But, under the surface, so much more going on. Take care. I'm sorry you're going through this. None of us can prepare or expect the kind of emotional trauma we go through. Nor can you understand why someone cheats. It isn't you. I know it sounds cliché, but it's the truth. They gaslight and try to make you second guess everything that you know is true. I hope you can find some happiness. Not everyone is morally corrupt and wants to destroy people. Brother, I'm sorry you are going through this. Wishing you all the support in the world. She simply isn't the person you thought she was, and that can create doubt about everything, including yourself. Please just remember she actively deceived you, actively took advantage of your trust, for purely selfish reasons that you will never be able to empathize with. Don't doubt yourself. You are a decent person, doing normal, decent stuff. This is on her. The picture album for your mom. How is this type of behavior possible? What kind of person can do this? Isn't it sick? The lengths she went to manipulate me, using my vulnerabilities, her connections to my family, and my love for her so she could do what she wanted. She even used crazy stories and lies about her therapist. The therapist I found her and worked like a dog and paid for during her self-harm as a smokescreen to cheat on me. Pure evil. I appreciate the support, brother. This entire experience is so new and surreal. Has she tried to contact you since the breakup? Immediately after, like within the first few days, she reached out for some logistics stuff. We had a conversation when I called her asking for an explanation and she gave me a haphazard apology and basically said it was my fault after. Nothing since then. Just be careful, it probably won't be much longer before she realizes that her new life isn't as fun as it used to be and she starts trying to make inroads back with you. She will realize the grass isn't always greener. I don't anticipate hearing from her as she seemed very remorseless in the last moments. But as painful as this has been, reconciling has never been in my wheelhouse. I appreciate the support. This entire experience is new to me, and the toughest thing I've faced. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night. Wherever you are.